The build is very important for this. I highlight it because people mistakenly send me just an exe file and not the whole build. I cannot grade it without a build because that shows me the final form of the game, how it's meant to be played. Obviously, I can open the Unity version on my machine, but invariably things get lost or things change when I open them up and it might not work perfectly. So I need a build, and I put a video on how to build your game. We'll do it next week also in class, but yeah, go through more about online hosting. Okay, so the limitations. You must incorporate your own level designs from Blender. I want to see the work from your submission in there somewhere. The objective should be clear and achievable. Get to the top of the tower, collect all the whatevers. No downloaded external scripts. You can write your own scripts and you can adapt the scripts that are in the obstacle pack for your own use. So no programming is actually technically required for this assignment. You could just use the obstacle pack prefabs and make a game from that. Yeah, and no downloaded asset packs apart from your own Blender designs. And other externals. You can add external audio files. I've no quibbles about that. Audio and music. So yeah, graded on the game structure, the layout. So structure includes gameplay, includes how it plays, and the objectives, the formal elements, the rules, and all that. Layout is the actual construction of whatever the space is, your game space. And the PDF is just give me a breakdown of your game, the formal elements, the gameplay, the rules, the objectives. So how do I play this game? What is the goal? Talk about future expansion. If this was to go further, there will be more. Basically just give me a workup on the game. 23 days. So not a huge amount of time to work something up, but enough to get a prototype together. You can do a game jam in 24 hours to make a game. So there you go. All right, so let's look at the obstacle pack. And we'll install it in Unity. But before I do that, let's take the attendance. Okay, QR code 5, 4. Okay, I can take this away. Yes, consume. All right, let's open up Unity. get into things. Okie doke. Okay, so currently we have our little tower model in place. We can climb on it. That's basically about it. We can climb. So let's look at the obstacle pack assets. I'm just going to go to the link here. Here it is. I can add to my assets. And basically, it's an obstacle course, right stuff with different setups with rigid bodies that all have different controls and settings that can change with the inspector. Things like the speed of these pendulums, the angle limit on the seesaw. Yeah. We also have a newer camera controller and a new motor controller inside of this. It's slightly more standard than my one. Oh, guys. So, stuff we've already worked on is in this. You'll notice he falls off and he respawns in the same place. We did that respawning logic. Basically, did in a different way. It's detecting where a collider is. So we can look at a collider. So yeah, lots of stuff to explore. Let's add it to our assets. It's going to do a link to Unity, probably. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I've added it to my assets. I can just open it in Unity now, and it should ask me to add. Yep, open Unity editor. Fall Guys, basically, yeah. It's a Fall Guys toolkit. Whew. Unity is allergic to color in their UI, but there is the actual button I need to press. Shine right here. So we obviously want to import everything. You can see there are different physics materials. We'll talk about those today. There are a bunch of prefabs of everything we saw in the video. The pendulum, the movable obstacles, falling platforms, and then they disappear. And all of the scripts are here as well. So let's just import them all. Updating script API could mean that there's outdated scripting being used in it. I'm going to say yes to update the scripting. If this breaks it, then we'll just re-import and say no. Okay, so that's imported. Let me just clear this console. It just bothers me that they have all this nonsense. Package manager. Let's clear that. And then you should have a new folder called Obstacle Course Pack, and you can find all of the prefabs of those objects in there. There's a one-page document that the developer has included. It just gives you what each thing does. Bounce, when he hits it, he bounces. Checkpoint, when he enters the collider, he saves position. I have also included on Moodle. Up there. In week 10. I have some notes on the obstacle pack. It goes through all the different settings you can change in the inspector. So I wrote this one just for you guys. So, how to import it, how to set up a scene with the player and camera, the steps you need. Let's just go through it. So let's set up our player. We just need the player and camera holder prefab. And they're in a folder called controller. So we're going to replace our card controller. So I'm going to save my player and camera just in case I want to use it again. So I'll save this as a prefab in our own prefabs folder. I already have a player and camera. I'm just going to update it. So to make a prefab of anything, I want to make a prefab of my tower. All you have to do is drag it down into the project assets folder. And I'll save it as its construction. Ooh, now I've got a tower wedge, and I can just drop that wherever I want. Ooh, the rotation there isn't good, but whatever. I can just pull it from memory whenever I need it and create more and more structures. And what's more, we've gone through with all of these and made colliders on all of the wedges, mesh colliders on all of the different wedge pieces, which means once we have it as a prefab, we don't have to set up that mesh collider stuff again. It's all going to work with our character. So new piece, all the collision is already set up. So prefabs are a real time saver when you have a piece that's working. I can pause, duplicate, and just increase. Just increase that size. Oh, well, that didn't work. But you get the idea. So, prefab's going to need them, and if anyone needs the tower wedge, if maybe they didn't bring the file today, it is up on Moodle as well. The wedge models are there. So the ones we built last week are there if you need them for today. So let's set up the new player. Again, I'll drag this to make a prefab. I'll drag it onto my already created one to update it. And that means I can delete it from my scene. Delete. So no camera because I deleted my character. And then there's a couple of things to set up here. First, we'll import the player and the camera. Then we're going to give the player a tag of player for certain obstacles to work. Yeah, let's just go through them. There's the player. There's the camera holder. I can just import this player into my scene, import my camera holder. Next, I'm going to give it a tag. We haven't used tags yet, but they're a useful way of marking up a game object as something different. I'm going to select the player, and see it has a tag untagged. and change that to player. Mass to 60. This is relevant for one of the obstacles, the seesaw. So you need to have a significant mass for it to work. And then much like the other controller, there'll be an empty slot for cam on player. Set that to camera holder. And then on the camera, empty slot for target. Select player. With this camera, it's a little bit more stable. It doesn't matter where you place the camera in the scene. Its position is going to be set by the code. So once we start, it's going to put itself close to the player. So you can put it anywhere. A player mass 60. And cam, set that to camera holder. Yes. So yeah, and on the camera holder, yeah, it's right here. So I just set its target to be the player. So it will follow the player. Player. And then you see we have our different things we can change. The angle, the look angle. So let's just press play and test this out. So mouse look. I can walk with the same WASD or the arrows. Okay, I see. Oh, made the last step too high. But if it's too high, let's just look at the settings, let's tweak. Not too high if I can jump higher. I'm going to increase that to 3. And go back. So this is what play mode's all about. You test, make some changes. It's not working. Oh, on pause. Hey, bigger jump. I can make that last step. one change I'm making. Give myself a slightly bigger jump because of my own level design. We have some materials we can put on this guy. They're all gone. So yeah, I'm just gonna add some of my own materials to them. Make a nice little green fella. There's a blue visor or a red one. Yeah, that works. So checkpoints and kill zones. Again, most of them are set up automatically. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of script, not scripting, but adding script to it, and a little bit of setup. So kill zone just means that anytime you touch a certain collider, you will be sent back to a checkpoint. You've died effectively, but just reset. You'd also put it on anything hazardous, like a trap you want the player to get hit by. That could have the kill zone script attached to it. So anything it touches sends you to a checkpoint. So basically deciding that. So kill zone, we need an object with a trigger collider. When the player touches it, he's reset to the start of the level. So we need to make our own trigger collider first and then attach this kill zone script. So let's make a cube and set it to be a trigger. New object, 3D object, cube. And let's call it kill zone. Oops. It's holding the camera. It's an empty with the script on it that's managing the camera. And then if we fold it down, you can see there is a pivot object as well. And then there is a camera. So, so little camera, big camera. So the pivot, how can I explain this? So there's the camera holder and the camera together, and then the pivot is right in the center here. Pivot, camera holder, and then main camera. So they are holding it, but they're actually putting a little hinge in there because they want it to orbit around the player. So there's actually a pivot point for the camera that can be reset by the code. Right there, camera's here. How can I write this? Which means the camera can actually orbit around. So that's why it has those three pieces. The holder is just the manager, the pivot is what it's rotating around, and then the camera itself is there. So it would usually set that pivot at the player, at where the target is, and then the script would move it around. And you can test it by changing the settings on the camera holder. See, if I select pivot, it's actually in the center of the player. I can change camera distance here, and you'll see it moves further away. It's rolling up on the camera manager script. So we want it further away. And as I'm looking, it's always pivoting around my character. We can change our angle. We want a top-down game. But of course, a shift in perspective means I have to shift how I'm designing my game, because now all of a sudden I don't know where my stuff is. So if I'm developing a top-down game, then I need to really focus on what we see on the ground to lead people around. Anyway, kill zone. The zone of death. I have my cube here. It's named kill zone. I'll give it a color. Red is a good color for a kill zone. And all we need to do to set this thing as a trigger is to enable isTrigger on the box collider component of our kill zone cube. Just flick that on, and now it is a trigger, which means it'll detect when a rigid body passes through it. So next we need to add our kill zone script, which would be in the obstacle course pack. And in scripts, and it's called kill zone. So very short, very simple script. It uses on trigger enter, which we look it up in Unity docs. Call when a collider with the isTrigger property, which we've just enabled, isTrigger overlaps with another collider. So a bunch of these are standard Unity functions that we can call on trigger enter, on trigger exit, on trigger stay. So on trigger stay, say you're standing in a health up zone, you're charging up your car, you're refueling a car or whatever. On trigger stay, you could do that, and then as you leave, it stops. So we are using on trigger enter today, and basically when we enter the trigger, send the player to the kill zone, do the like the respawn that we did. yeah, this script is just checking if the game object tag is equal to player, and we've set it to player, then take this and load a checkpoint, which is a function in the other script, character controls. But I'm over explaining. All we need to do is add this script to our kill zone, like so. And as I walk forward, if I touch that cube, you see I am reset back to where I was at the start. So the script automatically puts the first checkpoint wherever the player is in the level when you press play. And I can add more kill zones. To make it harder. And now suddenly everywhere I go, I can get reset back to the start. So you could have that as ways to slow the player down from their objective, where they need to go. I can place these as part of my tower, things you have to jump over. If I fall off, I'm reset to the start, or if I hit something, I pokes out. And again, the setup, very simple. Anything with a trigger collider. So I made a kill zone box. I could make a 3D object kill zone sphere. And the only thing I need to change is that it is a trigger. We enable is trigger. And this script kill zone is attached to it. So now there's a big kill ball. If I get hit by the ball, I die. And I can make the ball of death more threatening by just adding a rigid body and the kill zone script. And now it's an evil ball of, oh no, they added to both. Let's try that one more time. And it's off. Anyway, generally we want to set up a kill zone to catch us underneath the level. So I'm just going to put this down below and affect its scale. I'm sure you should see the 3D grid. Checkpoint is much easier. You just drag the prefab in. Just know that the respawn position is going to be the CP checkpoint. Yeah, let's wake up the music. Dance. So yeah, none of the materials from the video have worked. We have to make our own materials. So be it. Checkpoint. This one right here. I just drag it into my scene. It's a big old collider. And once I walk through it, it has set a new checkpoint. And this little thing, this CP, that is our respawn point. Yes. Yes. You mean like all the materials are pink? Yeah. Well, last week, see, they're all pink here. So anything I bring in that's pink, I just add one of our own materials on here. Oh. So it just like it doesn't change color when you drag material on. All right, I'll come take a look. But before that, checkpoint is here. Just make sure that your spawn point isn't below the earth, which is what mine is right now. Help myself out, I can add a little icon. So now I can see where the CP is, checkpoint, respawn position. Because I don't want to respawn below the ground. So I'll move that up. I'll just move the whole thing out here. You see, if I walk and I die, I'm going to respawn from where I started, unless I move myself over to the checkpoint. I've now passed through the collider, invisible, can't see it, but my checkpoint has been reset. To that exact point. So just be wary of where the CP checkpoint point is. These are the obstacle course materials. They're not your materials. We made our own materials last week. Again, like the input manager, all these materials are outside of it. So, my own? Yes. Yeah. Ooh. Because they've updated the shaders. Like, when they made the asset pack in 2023, all these shaders were good. But Unity goes to upgrade. They've changed, so all the shaders are handled, and they've changed the input. And maybe it's better. Like, they're trying to compete with Unreal Engine and get better shaders now. Yeah, these are obviously my textures. You can see weird wood. So these are the ones we were making in the previous weeks. And just a reminder, just make your own materials. Little right click, create material, and you can add anything on, any color. It's slightly simpler, but yeah, you make a material and it adds on. You can add on image textures and stuff like that. And Blender materials usually work inside of Unity. We bring them in. I mean, clearly they do, because these are the material, the textures we painted last week in Blender. Oh yeah, and of course with this checkpoint, they put it rather large because of the obstacle course. It's kind of a straight line thing. You pass through it. You can change the size of that collider, where you want to give people a checkpoint. It depends on what type of experience you're designing. Yo ho. Serious? What's up? Ah, the names. Is it just flat? Completely flat? Is it inverted? You should have gone upside down. As in, if I go to Unity and just. That still looks wrong. The normals, I think, are flipped inside out. Yeah. Like what should be showing face is showing invisible. You flip, recalculate the normals. You fix for that. No, let's just say select all, go on normals. We can flip or we can recalculate outside that. We'll see. Recalculate for anything and then just export if you have to next. In this folder, right? Yeah. One. And try importing that to. And if not, try flip the normals and see if that fixes it. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get into the obstacles. I think now would be a good time to take a short break, cup of tea, cup of coffee, and then we'll come back and look at the obstacles and what ways you can manipulate them and use them yourselves.